New Gen manga or New Gen shonen is probably a term that you've heard if you've at all been in manga discussions as of late. It's a neat way of referring to manga that started in the past few years. Kagurabachi, Dandadan, Viren. I'm not sure if Chainsaw Man still counts as New Gen because that started in 2018, and it gets kinda iffy when the manga is that old. Like, My Hero Academia is not New Gen. I'm pretty sure that's a millennial based on the logic we're going with. Point is, these are manga that people can still consider new. Now let's do what I tend to do on this channel nowadays. Let's make it about Yuri. Even your favorite Yuri manga were New Gen. Bloom Into You was also once a baby like the rest of us. Despite how little publishers want to license Yuri over here, there's a bunch of interesting new serializations that have been getting made even in just the last year. Some of these could be some of the best Yuri you've ever read in your life, or some may be getting cancelled a month after this video goes up. The mystery is part of the excitement. With me, I have a few Yuri manga that we can still consider babies, and I would like to talk about today. So without further ado, it's time to hit y'all with some real ass manga. This is the one I debated even including in this video because this is by far the most popular manga here that many already know of, but I think this one's still worth talking about. There are also probably people who are still unaware of it too, because you know that's just how this works. Love Bullet is a series that went from a low-selling manga that went under the radar to having an online push made to prevent its potential cancellation. This resulted in an absolute explosion of popularity and rise in sales for a manga that isn't even available in English, yet there were so many people that went out of the way to import the first volume from Japan. I may also be one of those people. All this series needed was a spotlight placed on it for so many to become big fans. Love Bullet hands down has the biggest fan base of any manga I'm discussing. There is so much amazing fan art and posts that garner so much traction, and for a manga that is only in its second volume, that is nuts. But this makes a lot of sense when you consider the fact that Love Bullet absolutely rules. For those that die without ever falling in love, they are remade as cupids, ghost-like beings who are unable to fall in love and fill the role of matchmaker for the living. Think of them as the spark that ignites a person's feelings into the territory of romantic love. Although instead the old-fashioned cupids that cause people to fall in love by shooting them in the hearts with bows and arrows, the cupids of today took a page out of the American playbook, as in they are packing a lot of guns, not to mention explosives. This is the afterlife that teenage girl Koharu has ended up in. Joined together with 3 other cupids, Kana, Chio, and Enna, they work together as a group of cupids to help people fall in love, which builds up good karma and with enough of it, can offer a cupid a second chance at life. Something that Koharu hopes to achieve as she has people she wants to reunite with, and this time, wants to finally fall in love. Love Bullets is one of those stories that offers such a fascinating premise that it has been following through with excellency. The story has been slowly drip feeding all this information as to how being a cupid works, and the different scenarios they can find themselves in, how they receive missions, the ways they interact with the living, the challenges of even making someone fall in love. There's so many compelling elements here with questions to be asked at many turns. The same goes for our cast. While Koharu's story has been laid out for us and has been our point of view character, being a very observant person whose kindness knows no bounds, the other 3 remain incredibly mysterious yet are already very appealing characters. Kana's a protective and reliable ally to Koharu who will do anything for her, but also knows how to play dirty in order to fit that end. Chio is an absolute wild card with an incredibly carefree attitude, but shows insane levels of experience and fierceness as a cupid, suggesting a deeper past that many are looking forward to seeing. And finally, Enna is the most rational of the group, expressing a level of experience not dissimilar to Chio, but is way more serious and no nonsense about her job than that small menace. Together they make for a group bursting with personality and dynamics that the manga can use to its advantage. The story is currently in an origin arc that tells how this group came together, but all the snippets of them as a group have broad writing that is very sharp, and not to mention very silly, but in a good way. They have a lot of fun, yet their existence as cupids reminds you that these are all girls united together in this afterlife where tragedy seemingly befell each of them. They're a joy to watch, but they imply so much that can be delved into, and that is exactly what Love Bullet is. It is a series with such a creative idea for a story that people are thrilled to see where it will go. This is all without even mentioning how fantastic the first volume already is, telling an incredibly bittersweet origin for Koharu that is filled with so much love and grief that you will be left in tears once it reaches its end. Seriously, I have purposely not talked much about the story of the first volume because I believe it's something that you should experience for yourself. It is the best first volume to a manga that I have read in a long time, and it's the easiest way to get hooked on the series. I'm starting with this manga not only because it's the most well known, but it is one of the immediate examples on how new Yuri manga can be so thrilling and tell stories that are absolutely worth giving a shot. I know it's good. If you're into Yuri, you probably know it's good. If you haven't read it yet, then what are you doing? Go do that. This is all I'll really say about Love Bullet for now, since there are already other videos doing a great job talking about how good this series is. I just wanted to get my own piece on it and help spread its word even further. But there are even more obscure Yuri manga that we should get into now. Oh wait, by the way, the art and paneling are peak, the line art and action are so clean, and Koharu and Kana are the two that I ship. Kurata Hikaru is a high schooler who has her dreams set, get a good education in order to stack tons of paper and live in a penthouse, as well as eat all the ice cream she wants. This brilliant goal of hers ends up hitting a major roadblock after falling in love with her classmate, Kira Kairi. Why is this an issue? Ever since falling in love, she can't study for shit since she's always thinking about Kairi and now her grades are tanking. Set on resolving the issue, Hikaru's solution is simply to confess her love to this girl she's never actually talked with before, so that she can get rejected and move on with her life. Only the exact opposite happens as Kairi offers to date her even after the whole situation is laid out. Why does she want to date her? Simple. She can't help but love watching this top student's aspirations plummet all because of how she fell for her at first sight. And all poor Hikaru can do is try to maintain her studies as she continues to fall for this girl's charms. The way I've described the premise of this series makes it seem like it's going to be a toxic Yuri, but based on my own understanding of the genre, which isn't a whole lot, but let's work with this, I don't believe that's the case. What we have here is a story exploring two characters and their relationship with love. Hikaru is a fairly innocent soul that was told not to fall in love by her mom, and is having her whole world flipped upside down after ending up in a romantic relationship she didn't think would ever happen. Constantly a blushing mess as her partner finds ways to make her heart beat out of her chest, she tries her best to manage both her love life and education, even if the latter ends up faltering because she can't help but think about her girlfriend so much. She's someone who's only ever studied and thought about a future far ahead of her, but there's also a happiness that's present in her life now. She stumbled across a joy that she wants to cherish as much as possible, now that she has it. Kairi, meanwhile, has already been shown to be much more than the potentially toxic partner the first chapter presented. A girl who's only ever been defined by her looks from others, she's received endless offers of love from boys she's had no connection with, and muddied relationships with girls due to her perceived doll-like qualities. She's just a girl that's been burned by the world around her, and hasn't been able to hold strong relationships with her peers, damaging her perception of love and romantic connection. Now what happens when you pair a character like this with Hikaru, a kind-hearted and devoted girlfriend who will unconsciously love Kairi as easily as she breathes? You end up with a really engaging and heartfelt romance manga starring these two characters that have already been presenting a good amount of complexity in the count them, 5 mere chapters we've been given so far. Love and Dreams Don't Mix has been an incredibly pleasant surprise that manages to blend its romantic tension and drama with legitimately really good comedy. The paneling and art does such a great job expressing how much of a gay little mess Hikaru, heck, how much of gay little messes both of them are, while also knowing when to slow the pace down to depict the love and intimacy these girls are developing. Which it has done so in so many cute ways that it makes me want to scream into my pillow. The chemistry is solid, the misunderstandings come from very human places, I already love the main two a lot, it's cute, it's funny, it's endearing, it's making me himijo the fuck out. If you're looking for a fun rom-com with a surprising amount of depth on display, I cannot recommend Love and Dreams Don't Mix enough, and I hope it continues going strong in the future. They put soccer in my Yuri. I knew this sport was missing something. Arai Haru was a soccer prodigy, managing to make it into a national team at only age 10, but after an injury that left her disabled and some messy family issues, she had to already give up playing the sport she loved so much. It's been 6 years since her original glory days, and now every time she looks at a soccer ball, she gives a look of displeasure that I can only compare to this gif. Going out of her way to go to a school that doesn't even have a soccer club, it seems like she'll finally leave her past behind and have a peaceful high school life. That is, until she ends up meeting a freshman named Osanai Satsuki, who's really into soccer and was inspired to play because of her, and oh look at that, the school she transferred to was also starting a soccer club. It doesn't look like soccer will be leaving her life anytime soon, not when this little gal is working hard to be a great player like her. And due to her influence, it looks like Haru's soccer career may not be completely dead just yet. This is a good old sports manga with a setup and tropes that you've probably seen in other places, but so far it's all been told in a pretty entertaining manner. I think a good way to show off the usual tone of this manga is how the current plotline centers around winning a practice game, otherwise the student council president, a girl who rides in a fancy car and laughs like a villainess, will disband the club in order to put a giant observatory on their courtyard. It's very silly but fun, which is how I generally describe this manga. There are a lot of characters that have already been introduced so far. This is a sports manga, so of course we're gonna have a full team that seems like the silliest bunch of gals. While the short amount of chapters that are currently out haven't offered the deepest cast, they still have charming traits that make them all stick out. Whether it's the student council president I mentioned before, the absolute ball of energy and confidence known as Mei, Adori the reliable bestie to our main two, Ruri the absolute hothead but still a great team player, Madoka our resident soccer fanatic, and many others that I hope will be given more depth as the manga goes on. All these energetic girls are contrasted greatly by Haru. Her incredibly grumpy and no-nonsense attitude helps ground this manga given how quickly you learn where she's coming from due to her past. It's not like she truly hates soccer, she's just stuck dealing with a legacy she's not physically capable of living up to anymore, so it's no wonder constantly being reminded of it would cause her to become jaded compared to the bright girl she once was. But with the help of a girl who carries the same spirit she once had, as well as the support of others who will work hard alongside her, perhaps she can still rekindle the love for the sport that she holds dear. I'd say this one's got a lot of promise so far. The art's been very cute and the manga knows when to dedicate full pages to showing off soccer being played, to which things look much more impressive. It all seems grounded enough in terms of what players are capable of, and I get the sense that it will stay that way going forward if we want to keep Haru's struggles believable. A lot of characters that I think are pretty neat while still keeping a good focus on our main two, a good mix of lighthearted and serious plotlines. I wouldn't say this manga is a must-read so far, but if just the concept of soccer Yuri or sports Yuri in general sounds interesting to you, then I think this one's worth giving a shot. I think it's pretty decent so far, and I'm curious to see how it'll continue to develop over time. Is anyone here familiar with the Yuri I Can't Say No to the Lonely Girl? From what I gathered, it was a pretty popular series. I remember it being pretty decent when I read it. It's not one of my favorites, but it's hard to deny how cute it was, and it had some very good scrunklies in it. I bring all this up because I had this knowledge going into Kashizake's new series that began last year, Howling Song for a Husky Girl. This name could change when it gets licensed, but so can some of the others, so bleh. After a series that centered around a situationship with girls kissing frame 1, Husky Girl is a hashtag music Yuri. Two girls come together to make music. One acts as the singer and the other is the composer. Together, they're gonna make it big as we watch both their relationship and art develop. The concept of girls coming together to pursue a creative passion with Yuriful tension developing is probably one that you've seen before. Girls by an anime are an easy example to point to. But despite similarities between other series, Husky Girl has managed to stick out in my head as one that I like a lot. I think it really comes down to the pair that this manga centers around. For the first 7 chapters, it's been purely on the precious and insecure Ugami Haru and the straightforward and proactive Narumiya Yu. Screen time belonging to any background and side characters have remained brief, and it's a quality of this opening I appreciate as it really allows our main two to shine. Starting with our primary protagonist, Haru is a very nervous girl that's filled with tons of doubt. A major source of this stems from her voice, which others have seen as unfitting for her due to sounding low and husky. It's an insecurity she's had ever since she was a kid, but she also sings and uploads her own covers online in the hope that she'll make it big as a singer, and be accepted for how she sounds. She has a hard time socializing with others and tends to overthink things, but she is still our resident underdog who is doing her best. Yu, on the other hand, is very blunt and direct. Unlike Haru, she's vocal about her goals but still keeps a very cool demeanor and picks Haru up whenever she's down. While Haru struggles to use her voice to speak with others, Yu has had no trouble saying how she feels, often to the surprise of little Haru. Her baggage is more tied to family, as she has an estranged mother and daughter. Daughter? What the fuck did I? An estranged mother and sister, who she now tries to reach via her music, something that connected these sisters greatly before splitting apart. As her vulnerabilities spill, it shows that she may not be all that different from Haru after all. In the end, they're both girls who want to express themselves and make their voices heard to the world. This is the foundation of Husky Girl's narrative, and it's one that I've been having a great time with. Though they're not currently a couple, their partnership still binds the two of them together even as bumpy as it can be. They have trouble being on the same page, which can tap into their insecurities. An example of this would be Haru comparing herself to Yu's sister, and feeling like nothing in comparison to her. It is definitely rough how she can feel so inadequate and undeserving of someone devoting themselves to her. There's also Yu's abandonment issues to consider in all this as well, which puts a spotlight on how much she wants Haru by her side. When all put together, we have a pair that have already become very dependent on one another. This is a dynamic that should be familiar to me, but enough has been done with both their strengths and weaknesses as people that they've stuck out as a compelling pair within this broad genre that is music Yuri. Howling Song for a Husky Girl has been a delight to read, not just for the character writing that I've delved into, but also how it's all been told. The art and paneling has been so well made. This manga is very good about delivering a digestible amount of information. Panels easily flow into one another, and the speech bubbles know how to guide your eyes through every page. It's not doing anything crazy with the panel structure, but it makes the manga incredibly easy to pick up and read, which I value a lot. On top of that is how pleasant I find the art itself. The designs for our main two are excellent. I love how unique each of their hairstyles are. Haru's hair curls around in so many different ways, but it still looks so small in comparison to Yu's loud black hair, within a Hoge that actually sticks up, as opposed to how low Haru's is. The way they both wear their casual clothing and uniforms expresses a lot about them, and just as a side note, Yuri is what finally made me understand what the big deal is with height differences. This is awesome. If you thought the Scrunklies and Lonely Girl were good, they have been refined to perfection in this manga. Whenever this manga turns its characters into little blurbos, it is not only so cute, but heightens the expression being focused on. It helps Haru feel even more like a small little bingus. Okay, I don't think these are actual words anymore. This manga nails its charming expressions, and it knows how to release utterly cathartic art as we watch Haru let her voice out. Turning this little baby into the coolest character ever is an amazing turnaround that I'm excited to see continue as the manga progresses. Husky Girl isn't exactly a mind-blowing manga, but I've grown to appreciate it the more I reread and examine it. It's got pretty much everything it needs to be a solid time, and it's got amazingly designed color pages on top of that. It's cool to see a Yuri author finish one series then move on to create something more ambitious, setting up a longer journey that I'll be looking forward to each month. How this journey will go is one that only time will tell, as is the case with every manga I've covered here, so all we can do is let the time flow as we partake in the act that is reading Yuri. Well, that seems like a good place to call it for this video. If you enjoyed your time, subscribing, liking, all that junk would be very appreciated. I've got some other videos talking about Yuri that you may be interested in, along with a history of other topics you may also like. I'm just a person that really likes talking about all my different interests on this channel, and yeah, it's fun, I swear. With all that said, thank you so much for watching, and have a good day.